Joining me here today is the one, the only, of course, you know who I'm talking about. Neil Magny to take on Max Griffin coming up at UFC Columbus. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for asking. You're fighting in
Nice.
Columbus, obviously, Ohio. I'm sure everyone's super excited to fight in Ohio. What was your reaction when they called you and said you'd be fighting on this event?
Oh man, I was super excited. I mean, at this point, by the time I fight, it would have been 10 months since my last fight. So when I got the offer to fight, I was like, oh hey, let's do it. I didn't care about the location, didn't care about the opponent. I was just excited and eager to get back in there and jump back to fighting again.
It's weird because when I was looking at it, I thought we'd seen you fight recently, and then I look and it's like the last time we saw you was Jeff Neal. That must be so crazy for you waiting that long without a fight.
Yeah, man, it's bizarre. And like the frustrating part about it is like it's not because of lack of call outs or opportunities. But I think I was getting called out left and right last year. And somehow went 10 months without a fight. So at this point I'm just like, dude, you know what? Just give me somebody. Like sit on the couch waiting for a fight just does not work well for me. Give me somebody to go out there and fight.
It's weird because first of all, you're one of the most called out men in the welterweight division. We've talked about this in the past, but if your call out doesn't include Neil Magny and you fight at 170, you're doing it wrong. But you had the big thing with Khamzat Chimaev. So I mean, it must have been so weird for you just watching all this stuff happen and you're just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely frustrated with that process going into it. I mean, at first it was like, speak up and say what you want. So like, all right, cool, I'll call the guy out. And then it was like, go out there and demand it. Cool, I'll go out there and do just that. And then like once Dana White was talking about like, I was like, cool, this fight's a done deal, is gonna happen. And somehow it still got passed up and still didn't happen. I was just like, man, what else do I have to do? I mean, I called the guy out. I fought my butt off against Jeff Neal. Do whatever I had to do on my end to make that fight happen, and it still fell through for whatever reason. So there was definitely a bit of frustration for me not getting that fight. But at the end of the day, I just needed a opponent, whomever it was.
What was the UFC telling you during that whole thing? Because, like you mentioned, even Dana White was like, nobody will fight him except Neil Magny. I mean, it seemed like it was obvious that you wanted to get back out there. What's the UFC kind of telling you?
For the biggest part, it was just a lot of logistics that weren't lining up. At one point, it was rumors that there was visa issues, and then there was something else that came up, and it was like, well, what card do we put them on, and all that kind of stuff. So there were just the constant things that kept coming up that made that fight not necessarily line up. But I don't know. Here we are. Here we are fighting Max Griffin. So that I'll put that one on the back burner from now and move forward with this fight.
And so, one last thing on Hamza, because I know obviously that's the big topic, but what did you think when you saw that he was fighting Gilbert? I mean, what that must have been a weird one for you.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like, is it frustrating that he get the fight? Sure, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I can't fault his management. I mean, if you're Gilbert Burns' manager, you get him the guy with the most hype behind him. And right now, if I'm being honest, it's Hamzat. So if I'm Gilbert Burns' manager and I realize that Gilbert has to fight back, it's not a big difference between number 8 or number 11. Like, give me either one of those guys, and then pick the better matchup for your client. And the same thing for Hamzat. I mean, if he has an opportunity in front of him to fight the number 2 guy without having to fight the number 8 guy, skip over me and fight the number 2 guy. I mean, I can respect that game all day long, but the only frustrating part of the whole situation was the idea that quote unquote no one was willing to fight him, and I was there raising my hand the whole time.
Exactly. Let's talk about this fight with Max Griffin. Obviously, I'm sure when it got announced on social media, you saw all the fire emojis everywhere. I think everybody likes the matchup. What did you think when it was offered? Because obviously, like matchup wise on paper, this is a very fun fight.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I mean, Max Griffin and I go back all the way to the Ultimate Fighter days. So for this fight to take place 10 years later, both of us like respected vets in the game. I feel like it's a real good matchup for me going into it. I mean, the guy's on a 3-fight win streak, just beat Carlos Condit. So when I got the phone call, there was no hesitation at all. I mean, I understand that he's not as ranked as high as I would like my opponent to have been, but nonetheless, he's still a great opponent and it's still a great opportunity to go out there and shine.
With you guys going so far back, did you have a relationship prior? I mean, was this someone that you had spoken to before? Did you guys have any kind of relationship?
Nothing buddy is super cordial, just kind of wish you the best, and kind of congrats on your career kind of thing. But it wasn't nothing like, hey, let's go grab dinner and hang out kind of thing. It was mostly just kind of wish him the best throughout his career and the same vice versa. But definitely wasn't like a buddy situation.
And so, I mean, you look at the matchup on this one, I think everybody kind of sees it as a striker's delight. Do you see it that same way? Or are you one of those guys that's like, oh, it's MMA first and foremost?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Max Griffin is definitely well-rounded. I mean, the guy can grapple, he can wrestle, he can strike. So I feel like it's definitely going to be an amazing fight, just all the skill sets that he brings to the table. And the biggest part about it is that we were both able to go out there and take risks. I mean, it's not like you're going out there fighting this guy who's a crazy wrestler where in the back of your mind, you're thinking, don't get taken down, don't get taken down. With a fight like this, the thing that makes it exciting is I know I speak for myself. I don't care where this fight goes. I'm able to fight my butt off and make it exciting. So that's the kind of fight that I like to be in.
We know the issue at welterweight. A lot of times, a lot of guys don't want to fight people that are ranked lower than him. You mentioned he's ranked lower than you would have liked. Is this a very dangerous fight for you in this one? Because, all it takes is someone come in and kind of mess up your career trajectory. I mean, is this a dangerous fight for you in your career?
I mean, at this point in the game, every fight's a dangerous fight. I mean, whether he's ranked number 5 or number 2, I mean, if I lose, it sets me back a lot. So, in my eyes, I'm not really necessarily worried about like the ranking and as far as like how far back it may set me or anything else like that. Would it throw me to the top 5 of my division? Probably not. But if it moves me from number 8 to number 7 to number 6, then fine, I'll take that. I mean, you watched Islam a couple of weeks ago. He fought Bobby Green unranked, and he went from number 4 to number 3. So if this fight moves me slightly closer to my goal, then I'll do that.
While we're talking about Max Griffin, his Instagram is a very interesting thing. At one point, he was calling himself the meme king. Right now, it's the conspiracy theory king. Have you gotten a chance to kind of look at his Instagram?
No, I definitely did not. I kind of like, not necessarily blocked him, just kind of put that on the back burner, just kind of like, I'll get back being buddy after March 26th, but right now you're just an opponent to me.
Is that a real thing? Like, I've heard of guys blocking their opponents. They don't want to get stalked on social media, or people are like big on, I don't post any training or anything. Is that a real thing for you guys? Are people actually stalking Instagrams?
For me, I'm not necessarily worried about like stalking Instagram and see things like that. For me, it's just so I don't want to be friendly. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I had fights in the past where I went out there, I was super cordial, super friendly with the guy, and it didn't play out the way that I wanted to. Like I can speak from experience talking about Alex Garcia, for example. He and I got friendly before the fight. At one point in the fight, he got injured, not necessarily hurt because of something I did, but he got injured, like something tore in his leg. And because I was in that mindset of like being all buddy, I didn't feel it was right for me to capitalize on that injury he had in the fight, and it kind of forced me to pull back on what I was able to do. And then immediately after the fight, the guy proceeds to start talking crap about it. So for me, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to be buddy with you for the next couple of weeks. I'll go out there, I'll fight. After the fight, I'll be there to support you, whatever that may look like. But for the next 8 weeks, whatever it is, I don't want to be your buddy. I'm not your friend. I'm here to go out there and win, and you're just another guy.
A lot of people, when they take the no buddy, there's two different approaches. There's the ones where you're kind of neutral, and then there's where the fight gets real fun and guys start hyping it up. What would it take to bring out that side of Neil Magny, that you've taken everything I've worked for, and you start talking about his kids and his mom or whatever Colby's doing? What would it take to bring out that side of Neil Magny?
To me, there's different levels of an ass whooping. I mean, there's the ass whooping you give because it's your job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
no hard feelings. I just have to go out there and do it. There's the other ass whooping you give where it's about respect. Like, someone literally is going out there running their mouths, and you have to show them who's boss. You got to go out there and really put some respect in the name and like slap somebody up. And the other one is when somebody owes you some money. Like, that's the ass whooping that I feel like you really put on the guy. Like, hey, you cost me an opportunity. You did something. I need to go out there and make the most of this. So, and that's how I approach him. And there's literally 3 different levels of ass when it comes to me and my perspective. So, right now, this is kind of one of those just business ass I'm looking to give.
What's the most beef you've had heading into a fight? I'm trying to think if there's one that stands out, but what's the most where you're like, I can't wait to put my hands on this guy?
For me, it was Hector Lombard.
Okay.
Just a lot of the backstory before I fought Hector Lombard and how he carried himself and that kind of thing. And then like some of the things that I said in the media leading up to it, as far as like his PED uses and that kind of thing. I just heard through the grapevines that he wasn't responding to it very well, and he was looking to go out there and like physically harm me in the fight, like beyond just the level of competition, but like go out there and really harm me. So knowing that going into a fight, it definitely put me in the mindset like, oh, cool, you come out there like not just win a fight, do what you have to do, you're coming out there and actually hurt me and potentially like take some longevity off my career. So for me, going into the fight with Hector Lombard was like for me it was just like, cool, let's do it, let's see what it's about. Like you want to come out and hurt me, I'm gonna stop you in your tracks.
Is that because I'm thinking back to that fight? If I remember correctly, I think the first round was a 10-8. The second round was a 10-8. I mean, and it felt like 3 different fights in one. Is that the craziest fight you have been a part of?
100%. I mean, I've never been dropped twice in a fight in the first round like that, and it's like literally looking for my feet in the fight. Like I remember at one point stumbling back to my feet, and it felt like I was standing on the ceiling. It was so weird. Like on my feet, I felt like it was upside down. I was just like, what the heck is going on here? And somehow I still had to like get my wits back and finish the fight somehow. And I was able to do just that. But that fight was definitely one of the most bizarre ones of my career.
I think even the size difference too. I think it's like what 5'8". You're 6'3". Like, is that complicated for you fighting someone with that big of a size difference?
It is, but the downside is you give up so much more muscle mass. Like,
Yeah,
for
that's
me
true.
being 6'3", fighting a guy 5'8", like I already know the strength advantage is going to him. I already know the explosiveness is going to him. So I kind of like, unless I push a disadvantage, but it kind of puts a position where I know what I have to do going into that fight. Like I couldn't go strike for strike with Hector Lombard. I had to like literally get hands on him and drag him to deep waters in order to win that fight. That's what I exactly ended up doing. You have to like weather the storm and like give him as much punishment he gave me and eventually come out on top.
Were you satisfied after that one? Because if I remember, you were in mount. I mean, you were raining down on him. Like, did you feel like, I did to you what you thought you were going to do to me?
100%. The only thing I wasn't satisfied in that fight, like I did get the TKO finish. The downside is like in the second round, I was literally just pouring shots on him. I think I punched him like probably 80 to 100 times
Yeah.
within that second round, and the ref didn't call it. And then like going to the third round, I get to clinch. I drop a nice elbow, get the takedown, and I immediately go to mount. And I'm trying to set up a mounted triangle to get the finish. And I throw like 3 shots to just kind of pepper him up and set up the submission. And then the ref calls it. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, this is
Oh,
my
now?
submission opportunity. and you call it a TKO off of like 3 peppering shots. Meanwhile, I had his back flattened out and I'm like striking as much as I could. And he just let it go on. So if I was ever dissatisfied in the fight, that would be the only downside to the fight. He took my submission victory away and gave me a TKO. But I was happy with it nonetheless.
Well, why was the submission victory more meaningful for you? Because I think a lot of guys like to chase the knockout. Was it the idea that you were, forcing him to tap to you? I mean, what made the submission more special?
For me, it just shows growth. Like, throughout my career, I've had an opportunity to fight. Like my first loss in UFC, I lost by mounted triangle. And then I was able to go back, train that thing over and over and over again. Damian Maia got me a position where he attempted the mounted triangle, and I was able to defend it successfully. So for me, it's to be able to like lose a fight by mounted triangle, get to the point that I defend the mounted triangle for one of the best grapplers of my generation, and then go out there and apply it on somebody myself, would have been like it just shows the trajectory of my career. It shows the growth of my career, going from the guy that got submitted by this, the guy that's actually using that loss to like grow from it and apply that submission to other people. So that's why I was so eager to get it. But I mean, at the end of the day, win's a win. I'll take whatever win I can get.
Did you prove something to yourself in that fight? Because you survived a scary round one, come back round 2, round 3, and I mean, did you sort of leave it feeling like, yeah, I'm a damn fighter after that one?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like going into that fight, like it was a scary reaction. Like a lot of people looked at Hector Lombard as being a boogeyman. Like I remember when I told my coaches I had the Hector Lombard fight, the reaction was like, "Go, let's go out there and fight Hector Lombard." It was more so like, "You're fighting who? Oh wow. When's the fight? Okay. Yeah, let's start training for the fight." Like that was the reaction I got when
Wow.
I told my coaches I was going to fight Hector Lombard. So to go out there and pretty much take the best he had to offer and give it right back to him, that definitely gave a stamp for me to like know what I'm capable of and know what I'm able to do to someone else.
Do you still work with those coaches?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I feel like most of the time you want your coaches to hype you up no matter what. You kind of look at them like, hey, guys, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, man. I mean, my coaches are pretty straightforward. Like, I remember even having food poisoning before a fight. Like, I'm backstage, I'm puking, I'm just doing whatever I can to try to get over it. And like, I come out of the bathroom stall, just like looking pale as a ghost. And my wrestling coach at the time, Coach Lisa, he looks at me just like, "Did you get it all out?" Man, I think so. Cool, let's go. We got to fight to win. And I'm like, no sympathy whatsoever. It wasn't like, hey, you need some water, you need some Gatorade, can I get you a Sprite or
Right.
something up? Like, no, come on, we got to fight to go win. I was just like, I guess I got to man up and go out there and fight. Here we go.
Did you win that fight? I don't know if you want to announce the opponent in case he gets you in trouble.
Yeah,
Did you win that fight?
I was in the Philippines. I got ahead of myself and tried some Philippine cuisine after a weight cut, which wasn't the smartest thing I could have done. And I had to fight Hengu Lim out there, and I ended up winning by second round TKO.
Hey, well, there you go, man. Let's speaking of, while we're on your coaches, man, who are you working with for this training camp? I know usually you're with Curtis Blades. Is he working with you for this fight? Because obviously we think of him as a wrestler, not so much Max Griffin. Who are you kind of working with?
Yeah, so I've been working not necessarily with Curtis Blades, more so alongside Curtis Blades. I mean, we have some of the similar coaches. We both use Vinny Lopez for strength conditioning now. We both use Tony Donovan for jiu-jitsu coaches, or as our jiu-jitsu coach. And then for me, for striking, I'm using Christian Allen.
So is it good for you having someone? 'Cause you're both fighting on the same card. People mention peaking at the same time and things like that. Does it help having Curtis Blades alongside you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's kind of a motivating factor. You don't want to be that guy that goes back to the locker room with a loss. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get there's a lot on the line. I get that the rank is on the line, but having to go back and look at your teammates like, damn, I lost that fight. It, it sucks. No one wants to be
Yeah.
that guy. So for me, it's 100% motivating. I get to go out there and set the stage for Curtis and kind of excite him. Like, damn, you saw what you just did? I'm ready to go, coach. Put me out there. I'm ready to go. So that's the kind of energy I'm bringing in the fight week. The idea that I get to go out there and set the stage and get the party started, so to speak. And he goes out there and just close out the show with amazing performance as well.
And I don't want to ruin a potential call out at the end of the fight, but is this the kind of fight where we can get a Khamzat Chimaev taking everything I worked for? Like, is it fair to expect that if you get the big win?
Man, I mean, at this point, like, what other way can I call somebody out? I literally called out everyone in division from number 1 through 5 all the way back to Hamzat. So, like, at this point, like, I don't think call outs work for me. I just have to be the guy that like shows up on game day ready to go. Like, I literally spent a year calling out this man, and nothing has happened from it. So, I'm kind of hurt by the whole call out situation at this point.
Fair enough. All right, man. One last question. It's an easy one, but how do you see yourself getting the win against Max Griffin?
I'm assuming myself going out there getting a very dominant finish against Max Griffin. I see myself going out there, posting my will early on, and like really putting the pedal to the metal and like making him pay every single second of the fight.
All right, we look forward to it, man. Obviously, it's an awesome fight. You've seen the fire emojis on social media, so you know people are excited. Thank you for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It was a pleasure talking to you.